Good evening. It's 6:30, and I'd like to call the Wednesday, September 8th, 2021 Economic Development Commission meeting to order. Tonight's the Economic Development Commission meeting will be held by hybrid on Zoom. Commission members and staff may be participating in this meeting via telephone and video conference. As chair, I will be leading the Economic Development Commission meeting, and the public is welcome to participate when invited throughout the meeting. Members of the public may attend the meeting by joining online by typing zoom.us/join and then typing in the meeting ID 958-2665-7241. Once you are logged into the meeting, please use the chat feature to tell the moderator which item you wish to speak to. You may also join by calling the meeting at 651-372-8299 and entering meeting ID 958-2665-7241. Now on to the agenda. First item up on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda.
Chair, I do have a change from staff.
Okay.
We would like to change item number 3 and 4. So we'd like to flip-flop them so that the school district presents first and then AE2S with the integrated marketing plan second.
Okay. Let the record be noted that of that change. Does any of the members have any changes? Okay. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Have a second?
Second.
Okay. So Al has moved, I'm sorry, Commissioner. Al has moved to adopt the agenda, so has Brady, and he has seconded the motion to adopt the September 8, 2021 agenda. Next up on the agenda is the approval of our July 14, 2021 Economic Development Commission meeting minutes. Are there any changes? I'll ask staff, are there any changes to the meeting minutes?
No changes from staff.
Okay. This is commissioners? Okay. All right, so we'll move to adopt the meeting minutes. Do I have?
Motion to approve the minutes from the July 14th, 2021 meeting.
And a second?
Second.
Okay. So motion has moved and seconded to move to approve the July 14, 2021 minutes. And I guess that moves us to the third agenda item, which will be the ISD 191 Pathways Program and Communication Update. This item is for information only, and discussion purposes, and no motion or recommendations is required as this time. So we have Kathy Funston of ISD, Director of Strategic Partnerships and Pathways, and Aaron Tinkleberg. Did I pronounce that correct? Tinklenberg of ISD 191 Communications Director, and they'll be providing us with a presentation of the item and an overview of the background report. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, and good evening, Commissioners. It's such a pleasure to be here, and we really appreciate being able to share what we're doing in the school district with you. You know, from my office, I can see the heart of the city, and I see the cranes. And I see all the scaffolding and the cranes throughout the city as I drive around the city of Burnsville to all of our schools. And there's a very physical presence of the development that's going on in our city right now. With the school district, unless there are physical spaces being built, it's a lot harder to see that building and innovation that's going on. So tonight, we are really happy to be able to share with you the wonderful, creative, innovative things that we are doing to support all of our students so that they have a pathway and a pipeline to success in Burnsville. So at the high school, we started with our pathway model in 2015 and actually implemented in 2016. These images show you some of the really innovative opportunities that our students have. There are 4 broad career fields with 14 unique pathways. Our students can earn stackable industry credentials that they can take directly to the workplace, which gives them hiring bonuses and higher salaries. While they're in high school, we know that early college credit denotes success in future endeavors, and our students in these pathways can earn 24 concurrent college credits. Now, this is not all of the college credit that our students earn, because we do happen to offer more CIS classes than any other high school in the state of Minnesota. So there are a lot of opportunities for advanced learning and college credit in our school system. Our community has been very generous to us. We value that partnership, and to date, we have about 200 plus partners that work with us to bring relevancy to the classroom and opportunities to our students. And in turn, this has led to earning 4 regional and national awards for our model. So our current pathways fall into 4 broad categories. We have the Arts, Global Communications, and Information Systems career field. And underneath that, students can pursue sequenced courses in the visual and performing arts. We partner with the Ames Center, so that's a great location, and the Garage, so that it's a way for our students to get that experience. Broadcast journalism happens right there at the high school with BCTV, another wonderful partner. And also a huge field right now, computer science and computer networking. We are currently working on a pathway in this area for cybersecurity, which we all know is a critical need in our ever-growing technological environment. And we're also working to implement an Associates of Arts degree with Inver Hills Community College that our students would earn before they received their high school diploma from Burnsville High School. So that's a huge plus for our students. In design, engineering, and manufacturing technology, we offer architecture, construction, engineering, manufacturing, and automotive. And just recently, in both the manufacturing and automotive pathways, we've received 2 grants from the Department of Labor and Industry to support these pathways, to elevate them to that next level, and also provide our students with paid internships in Burnsville businesses. In business management and entrepreneurship, our students study marketing. They did a great job when we launched our pathways, and they were a huge influence in how we actually marketed them. Our students study management, finance, and also hospitality, which includes a very, very strong culinary program. And then finally, in our health and human services area, we have a certified nursing assistant program where our students at age 16 can earn a CNA certificate and work in any of our healthcare facilities in that role. They also can become an emergency medical technician. We partner with Chief Jungman, and our students do ride-alongs with the fire department so that they can earn that credential, which is a national credential. And then also we have a pathway in education, because we know that we want our students to come back and be teachers in our system. Next up, we're working on law enforcement, because we know that there is a huge shortage of police officers and peace officers in our community, and we really want to provide an early start with an equity lens and a social justice lens around the law enforcement profession. So as we think about our pathways, and this is just the health sciences and human services, all of our pathways have partners. I can't stress enough how important it is for our students to be connected with the leaders in our community for their learning. Our teachers do a wonderful job. They provide them with a strong academic program. And we also need our community members like you with the expertise that you bring from your own businesses and industry to share that with our students so that they can see what are all of those opportunities in a particular career field that they can go into. Relationships and mutually beneficial goals are key to the partnerships. We find that intersection where it's a win-win for both parties, and then design around that. Our partners are light to heavy. A light partnership might be that we can get a tour of the bank where Commissioner Folkstad works. And we can introduce our students to the banking and finance industry. A partnership heavy might be a manufacturing company that has manufacturing machinery that they can donate to the program to give students that real life experience. Again, I mentioned the curriculum relevance with the industry certifications and the early college credit, and then the internship possibilities also. And we would really like for all of our students, if they so choose, to be able to have an internship opportunity out in the community with our leaders and their organizations. So as you can see, this is certainly not 200 plus, but it just gives you an idea of the number of businesses and organizations, both government organizations, nonprofit organizations, and our business community that we partner with. One big partner of ours is the Burnsville Chamber of Commerce. And so we created about 4 years ago the Business Education Network. And through that network, we offer a lot of different opportunities for both our businesses in the community and the students. So we provide a program where we introduce students to those critical workplace skills, the kind that every employer wants their students to come with, but is not necessarily taught, like their attitude and attendance and those kinds of things. So we're explicitly teaching students those skills so that we can provide future employees to the Burnsville community that are already coming with a knowledge of those skills that are so critical to success. We have a summer job. All of our businesses basically need employees right now, and that's the same for seasonal and summer employment also. So those who do hire for summer jobs, we have a summer job fair. It attracts over 400 students. Many of the businesses hire on the spot. One of our businesses comes back every single year because the job fair is the only place that he recruits and hires his employees for the summer. We have a career expo for 10th grade students in January, and this exposes all of our students to the myriad of different careers within those career pathways, so that then as they are registering for courses for 11th grade, they've got a much better idea about why they're taking those classes and where it can take them in the future. Our businesses open the doors to our teachers so that our teachers can get experience in business. Oftentimes, teachers are perennial students. They've been students, they go to college, they go into the classroom, and that is the exposure that they have to careers in the community. So it's important for our teachers to get out, to experience what happens in our community businesses so that then they can bring back, how do I use those math skills in a graphics art business? And that way they can share that information with students. Makes learning relevant, engages students. Coming up soon, on October 1st, we're going to have a parent forum. And this is a way for parents to understand the pathway model, all of the opportunities that are available to them, and a way to navigate the system so that they can make the best decisions possible for their students. Sometimes a 4-year degree is not the best solution. Sometimes the solution is, I'm going to do an apprenticeship, and then I'll go to a 2-year college and get skills training, and then I'll tap it off with 2 years of post-sec or a 4-year college degree, and it's a non-traditional path, but it is the path all the same to get where the student wants to go, with typically a much lower debt load. And then finally, the Burnsville Chamber of Commerce hosts and sponsors the State of the District each year. We are very excited to announce that our Board of Education has launched an elementary and middle school pathway model that aligns with our high school pathway model. We are the only school district in the state to have a district-wide pathway model. This is a way for students to learn, spark their curiosity, get more information, make better decisions, and don't use college and post-secondary as career exploration. Let's do that while they're in K-12 public education, so that as they are entering their post-high school plan, they know why they're doing it, and they've got a plan to do it cost-effectively. In the elementary, you can see the pathways that we have. They mirror quite well with the high school pathways. And as you can see, this young man here, he's already doing a binary code bracelet because we teach coding as early as kindergarten in our district. And in the middle school, it's such an interesting time for young people. And any of you who have middle school students or who have had, you know what I'm talking about. And so this is a really great time for us to work on students' leadership development. We really want to introduce them to rigorous academics so that they know what they need to do so that they can be successful in high school and successful post-high school. It's a time for self-discovery for these students. So we spend a lot of time on social and emotional learning. And then at this point in time, we expose our students to all aspects of those pathways so that then as they are entering high school, they really are making very good choices for their elective courses instead of just taking an elective course because their best friend is in the class. And I think I can hand it off to Erin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. And thank you, commissioners, again for having us here tonight. I really appreciate it. Kathy is definitely the expert when it comes to sort of the educational component and what's happening in our schools, how we're really providing the experience and the skills development and growth that we want to see in our students. I'm here mostly to just talk about how we're talking about that, how we're working to share the message and share what we're offering with the community and parents in particular. So I'm going to talk a little bit about brand and enrollment going forward. So I'll talk a little bit about our brand development and then our marketing that we've been doing over the last year and a half, and then what we have coming up, just to share that information with you. And the reason I want to talk about brand development is that we've had a logo for a while, we've had sort of colors for a while and things like that, but sort of we never really had a fully detailed outlined brand for the district. What does it mean? Who are we as an organization? How does that express itself? How do we express who we are to other people? It's a lot more than just a logo. And a lot of times we hear people ask us, why don't you just tell more good stories about the district? And we've been doing that in my entire time. I've worked for the district for 10 years. We've been doing that. We really needed a more strategic approach. We needed to take something that was more comprehensive and integrated to what we were doing when we talk about the district. So we started by defining our brand. And this work has taken place over the course of really years in developing it, but we really put a head on it last spring. Right as the pandemic was getting started, actually. We talked about what kind of organization are we? What's our brand archetype? And what we came up with, through a number of different sort of focus groups and meetings and things like that, was that the trailblazer is what fits us the best. So I'll read this, but the trailblazer is the first to break ground on their quest for discovery, innovated and driven. This is a sub-archetype of the explorer. We blaze new pathways to explore and learn about the world around us. We strive to answer life's big questions, such as why am I here, what is my purpose, and the Trailblazer is focused on self-discovery, self-sufficiency, and working toward these goals through their intrepid and curious nature. That defines us as a school district. We're always trying to blaze our own path. We're not going to just follow the crowd. We're not going to take the easy way out. We're looking to find a solution to whatever problem lies in front of us, and we're willing to find a new way to get there. It also describes, to some extent, what we want for our students. We want them to be curious and innovative. We want them to be finding their own pathway, and so this really fits us well. So when we talk about ourselves, this is kind of what we think about. So a brand positioning statement is just identifying our audience and our unique value proposition. And this is our brand positioning statement. We're a future-forward district serving everyone in our community without bias, creating barrier-free pathways for learning. We believe learning is a lifelong pursuit and create programs, services, and opportunities inspired by this belief. A lot of what Kathy presented really reflects this in that, especially that creating barrier-free pathways for learning. All of these pathways we talked about at the high school They're available at the high school. Students don't have to go somewhere else to get them. They don't have to pay extra to get them. They don't have to worry about transportation. We're trying to remove all the barriers we can so that they can get the education and go down the path they want. So then when we talk about our brand and who we are, this is kind of the idea behind that, this fanning the flame idea. You hear us at the elementary level talk a lot about sparking curiosity, sparking wonder. That's what that time is about. Let's understand what's available in the world, what's out there, what's possible, and get kids to experience that so that they can be excited about what might be in their future. At the middle school level, we talk about fueling that, so providing the skills, the social and emotional development, so that they can start to understand their passion and purpose, and so that they can really start to understand or gain the skills that they need to be successful in the future. And then at the high school, we talk about blazing their own paths. So Kathy covered the pathways pretty well, what's available for students to really find what their passion is, and then be prepared for what comes after high school. Excuse me. I'm guessing this is for me.
It is. Cheers.
Thank you.
Let us know if you want another mask too.
So I'll talk a little bit about our enrollment marketing from this past spring. Our goals are, of course, around enrollment, around retention. So we're trying to retain our current students, and then secondarily to attract and re-attract new students. We created and launched a new enrollment microsite and updated some website content to reflect the new brand. We did hold virtual open house events this spring, which were by and large very successful. We had more than 100 people registered for each one, and in some cases that many attend each one. Maybe it's not going to work. The target of those has been primarily students that we lost to open enrollment, homeschooling, or who delayed their enrollment due to the pandemic this last year. We also targeted students in transition grades where they may be making a decision to come back, so 5th grade to 6th grade, 8th grade to 9th grade. I'm going to see if I can bring this up as well so you can see the enrollment microsite. So this exists out there now as the place where we direct people through these marketing campaigns so that we can better track them and so that we can present them with exactly the information we're looking at. So what's under there right now is information about pathways in particular. And then right now we're in the middle of a marketing campaign called My Journeys, and where we're featuring the journeys of individual students who have graduated or are about to graduate from high school. So some of you may know some of these students. Justin recently graduated, or a few years back, he's actually a senior at St. Thomas now. And what this does is let people see about Justin's journey in his pathway, which actually started when he was in elementary school and he was on the Ron TV News for the first time, the Ron Elementary TV News. And he found out that he had a passion for journalism, and he continued that through high school, through the journalism classes. He was actually a communications intern for our communications department, which is a lot of fun. Now he's the director of Tommy Media at the University of St. Thomas as a senior, which is pretty impressive. So people can come here and see what kind of a pathway might look like for a student. And they can do that for some other students as well. Osmond has a great story as well. I've got a picture of him at a science fair in elementary school, and he's going on pursuing architecture, I believe. So again, kind of combining the things that he cares about. So that's that site. I mentioned the open houses. So Nicollet is just an example. We had 151 families registered, including 6 who were already District 191 students. So we're attracting some students from outside as well. People gave us great response, which was wonderful, and it's something that we can maybe offer again in the future, even if and when the pandemic subsides. And this is what some of that campaign has looked like around enrollment marketing in particular. So when we were messaging out to the open houses, you get a sense of sort of the design features as well that we're building into the brand. We also, of course, are still publishing those positive stories. It's not like we're forgetting about that, but we are trying to focus more on stories that tell who we are as a school district, rather than just, okay, this student won an award. And we'll still post that, we'll still share that, of course, because it's wonderful to celebrate the great news and the accomplishments of our students and staff. But people want to know what experience their student is going to have when they come to Burnsville schools, and we want to share that with them. So we talked about web at the middle school leadership is where everybody belongs. So that leadership program at the elementary school, the fact that we have AVID, which is advancement via individual determination, kind of a college prep model, really, not just a course, but a college prep model at the middle school. That's at both middle schools, as well as at the high school and Burnsville Alternative High School. And then the Burnsville School Experience Guide, again, just these things that talk about what the experience is like in our schools, rather than just somebody won an award or won a state championship. We did have a runner win the state championship this spring. That was pretty cool. So other components of Pathways marketing. So along with pushing to enrollment, we're trying to establish our brand out in the community, the Pathways brand in particular. So we did do a campaign around reintroducing families to the Pathways concept, and then starting a mostly social media Pathways awareness campaign as well. We're really, again, targeting those rather than just sending it out to everybody. We're targeting families that might be interested or might be looking for this information. And this is what those kind of look like. Again, we're using the phrases, the spark, fuel, and blaze. We're highlighting our partnerships. Our mission statement as a school district is each student future ready, community strong. And you hear that all come out again in what Kathy was sharing. We're talking about individual goals and pursuits for students. They can find their own pathway. We're talking about looking forward, being mindful or planful, and having a plan for afterwards. And we're talking about those community partnerships, because that's how we are able to offer all these things. This summer we had an enrollment campaign going as well. Mostly this is a sort of a broad geographic targeting, again, mostly on Facebook and other social media. And then we have that Journeys campaign, which I highlighted on the enrollment microsite. Right now, that's been focused on students at transition grades and students who chose to homeschool or chose private school last year, again, because of the pandemic. We're working on letting them know that they, hopefully this is what they can expect when they come back, if they come back. And, but those stories obviously we'll have to use in other campaigns going forward. So what's coming up next for us from a marketing campaign, we'll continue that brand marketing campaigns. We talk about being a big organization. We can't change everybody's perception of us in a year or anything else like that. We need to be consistent and constant and going forward into the future, and that's what our plan is. We're going to continue creating more content, so along with the Journeys campaign, we're going to be producing some Pathways videos to help explain and that concept this fall. We'll continue to write those blog articles as well. And then some of the other projects that we have going on, we want to make sure, obviously, that students and parents are having a good experience as they enroll in our schools, so that they can enroll easily. There's not any barriers in the way. And then once they've enrolled, what's that onboarding strategy so that they have a good experience from that moment until they get into our schools. If you think about a parent with a 5-year-old who's going to be in kindergarten next fall, they might enroll in January, but they shouldn't have to wait till August to hear from the school or the teachers. They're already part of our family, they're part of our school system. So what's that onboarding strategy, what's that onboarding process so that they can know that they're welcome and feel like they're part of the district right away. And then project this year is just around realtor engagement as well. And that is my overview.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Aaron Tinklenberg. I think I said it right this time,
You got it,
right?
perfect, thank you.
Okay, so I'll look to the commissioners to see if there are any questions for them.
Just one thing, one of the trickiest things that I've seen with any marketing campaign is what are the metrics that the school is going to utilize to kind of determine the success of some of the various items out there? And, if and when there's a time to make a change or to alter the marketing plan.
Yeah, so there's a number of things that we will look at and some things that we're working on setting up. One of the things that we look at are some of it is almost more input. So I showed some of the metrics in terms of who attended the open houses. We can look at that. We can ask people what their experience was during the open houses or these other events. So we know, okay, did they have a positive experience or not? What can we change? What can we improve? Same with the enrollment process and the student onboarding process. We can ask people along the way, what has your experience been? And so we're always kind of taking small, we might call them formative assessments in the education world where, okay, we just did this, did it work? Let's make a minor adjustment, let's make small adjustments. And then there's the bigger overall sort of picture. So certainly from a marketing standpoint, our brand awareness, brand satisfaction, and enrollment would be the three things that we'd primarily look at. Brand awareness and satisfaction, those are gonna have to be, surveys, community surveys, probably. It's actually something that I'll probably talk with Crystal Larson about partnering on that for us. And then enrollment is just the number that we have that's easy enough to track.
Okay.
When it comes to the student success after you send them on to their educational experience after high school, how do you measure that? Because to me, that's the ultimate, proof of this program being worthwhile and selling to the parents and selling to people moving into Burnsville or considering moving into Burnsville. Yep. And if you look in general, not talking 191 specifically, but many students who've gone on to either a junior college or a trade school or, even regular college have had to take remedial courses when they get there because they haven't been prepared well enough in high school. So do you have a way of measuring that?
Yeah, and I might ask Kathy to come up if you know as well, but I know that we have some data from the state around whether or not our students are taking remedial courses. I think that you might get some pushback on whether or not they need to take the remedial courses or whether the colleges are happy to have them take the remedial courses and because then they have to pay for them. So there's some question around that as well. Is that data that we have, Kathy?
We do get data from our colleges and universities around enrollment and major designations. However, we typically use SLED's data from the state of Minnesota, but that's a year in the rears. So there's a little bit of a gap between when our students actually leave and then when we get that data around where they're going, what they're doing, did they graduate, and those kinds of metrics. We have a very high college entrance rate, however. And I think a little bit to your point, an interesting fact is that 5 years ago, when we track students going into college, or at least where they say that they're going into college, and then also what they want to study when they're going into college. 5 years ago, our students told us, general studies or psychology. And so now the data that we get, not only do they know exactly what college or university or trade program or two-year program or military that they want to do, they're also very specific. 89% of our students have a very specific program of study that they have identified. And many of those programs of studies never existed when any of us were in school.
And just to add to that too, in terms of another way that we may be able to track in the future, one thing that's on the horizon from a communication standpoint and engagement standpoint would be a stronger or any really alumni relations program. It's not something that we're in position to take on right now to really try to drive home. We have a list of alumni that we can reach out to via email and things like that, but we don't have a strong program, and being able to track alumni as they graduate, as they continue through college or whatever career field they choose, would be, I think, really, really beneficial.
Anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, I just want to make a couple comments. First of all, Kathy and Aaron, thank you for being here. And, you're going, why in the world is the school district at an EDC meeting? But from our perspective, and I can't speak for everybody, but from my perspective, which I can speak for, is there's probably no greater economic development tool that we have than the strength of our school systems. And we're about creating jobs and helping the economic prosperity of the city. And the school district is just at the key of that. And so I think big part of our discussion is how can we do a better job of helping and linking with you guys? And I know the city's already doing a terrific job in trying to make that connection stronger. And we're all better because of those links, but we want to continue to make it stronger. We all hear the feedback as well, and we're like, okay, we're not there where we need to be yet, but we're going to get there. We need to figure out, we all care, we all want to make it better. How do we get there? This website that you showed in these case studies, I think that's spectacular. And I think about, I can be a proud parent and brag about 2 kids that went through Burnsville and had tremendous opportunities because of Burnsville, both in sports and academic. One is just graduated with their MBA, and the other one's just went to the Thunderbird School in Arizona for their master's. And all of that is so much about Burnsville, but not only because of the sports and the academic opportunities, but also because, and this is where I think Burnsville is really special, is because the recognition of, it's not about the color of the skin, but the quality of the person, and choosing your friends and your associations in life based upon the quality of the person. And our son is going into a top-rated international business program because he has a passion for Latin America. And I think a lot of that is the diversity he was exposed to in Burnsville. So I see that as a very much a real plus. Even when we toured campuses, if they were all white campuses, he did not feel comfortable. He did not like it. He wanted diversity because that's, let's face it, that's the world that we live in, and that's the world and where it's going. And your effectiveness in the world is much greater by having really an awareness of all that. So there's a lot of things that are really going well, but there's room for improvement, and we continue to hear the negative feedback. And until that goes away, there's room for improvement. And so we're, as an EDC, asking, how can we improve and help you guys? Because we are just as much committed to the school district and the strength of the school district as you are. It's not our living like it is for you, but it's important to us, and we're like, okay, what can we do? Because we feel like we could do more, or we need to do more. And so that's part of why I think we asked you here as well tonight. So thank you very much for being here.
I appreciate that you said that, and the fact that you mentioned the fact that our diversity as a school district, as a community, is really our strength. We value that tremendous amount, and I think our students value that as well, and they see the benefits of it, which is great to hear. You talked about what can we do to help the school district in terms of our branding, our marketing, in terms of communicating with the community. And I'll tell you all the exact same thing that actually I sent in an email to our staff just last week, which is that your voices, your individual interactions out in the community are probably what matter the most. What we have heard from our research is that the most important thing that parents consider, the most important piece of information that parents consider when they're choosing a school, is what their friends and neighbors say. The second most important is what they hear from staff. So those personal one-to-one interactions, those word-of-mouth marketing, word-of-mouth references are what's most important. So if you're not already, I encourage you to follow us on social media if you're on social media. Go to the website that I showed tonight and share that information with your neighbors and your friends and your coworkers who live in the district. Those are definitely 2 ways you can do that. If you've had a positive experience in our school district, you can go to greatschools.org, or you can go to niche.com, which are school rating websites, and you can leave a positive review. That will help us out. That helps us out tremendously. Another thing you can do, and I've brought a little takeaway for each of you, is that you can put a sign in your yard. So if you want a yard sign, we have 7 of them here, and I'll leave them here, and everybody can take one if they want one. Regina, if there's some left over, you can let me know. And I'll leave those here. So that's a way that you can show pride in the school district and let your neighbors know that you care, that this is a place where you're happy to live and that you're happy to send your children to.
Yeah.
And that can be a really big help.
Good, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Do we know if there's anyone that's called in on the member of the community that has any questions?
There is not, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Kathy, I have one question for you, and you may not, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you may not know, but I'm just curious. One of the things that you showed us was the students would be learning about finance. And I'm just curious to know if they would be learning about real-life spending in that, like budgeting, and if you can elaborate a little bit about the programming that they'd be doing for that.
I can. Our students in 9th grade, they learn financial literacy because, again, as we're planning for their futures, planning their post-secondary endeavors, because we encourage all of our students to have post-secondary education, whatever that might look like and be for them, they need to understand how their money is going to help them get to the goals that they are creating. So in ninth grade, our students have a financial literacy unit that they do. That's carried through in subsequent years as well. We have had a partnership with the former Firefly Credit Union, and they actually had a branch in the school. Our students worked in the branch. They interned over the summer. They went to board meetings with the board of Firefly, and we taught financial literacy through Firefly throughout the school. Now, since Firefly is now Truestone, and so we are renegotiating our partnership with Truestone.
Great, thank you. All right, anyone else? Thank you so much. That was a great presentation. We learned a lot from that. So we will move on to item number 4, or am I? Yes, okay. And item number 4, we have a presentation on the integrated marketing plan. So we have Andrea Bowe from AE2S, the city's marketing consultant, and she will provide a presentation of the item and an overview of the background report.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having us, commissioners. Let me just. Okay, it's set up here. So I'm Andrea Bowe from ADJOURNMENT Communications, and I have Nicole Gosted here with me as well. She's a team member. And so we're going to talk about the Integrated Marketing Communications Plan and a little bit about the branding that came before the plan. So we were hired in 2019, and these were the goals and objectives that we were hired under. So basically it was to develop a brand, a community brand, and then support the strategic plan that had been finished. I think it was adopted in the end of 2018,
That's correct.
I believe. So, and so it was supporting that strategic plan as well.
And as a part of that, so as Andrea said, we started with the brand and development of the brand, trying to discover really what was authentic to Burnsville and what we could use as a launching pad for the ADC and then also in the city. Where we started with that was doing a ton of engagement across the city and with staff. We met with some students at 191, heard a lot of the things that they talked about and the things that were special to 191, that everyone belonged, people loved the diversity. Across the city, we heard those same things, that it was a place that was welcoming and for both residents, we met with visitors, businesses said that it was a great place to be in terms of location. So we heard a lot of really great things about Burnsville, and then we took that engagement process and we built it into a brand, of which hopefully you've all seen at this point. And we use that input from that, what we call the discovery period. And then that input from the discovery period is really then the foundation of not just the brand, but then as we go into now the IMCP, all that discovery period helps craft messages, looks at our target audiences, and really shapes what those tactics are for the IMCP.
Yeah, so as Nicole said, there was a lot of engagement done over many months, and it fed into the brand, but it also fed into the IMCP. And we use IMCP just like it rolls off our tongue, but what does that mean really? An integrated marketing communications plan takes marketing tactics, but it takes it one step further and identifies how you're going to communicate those tactics. So what channels are you going to use, the frequency you're going to use, what methods are you going to use. And so it really takes those marketing tactics and it draws it all the way through to the end user. So it's an integrated marketing communications plan. And it was really focused on using the strategic plan as its base, but also the engagement. And so when we did this, we wanted to look at each of the goals of the strategic plan and focus on what is bringing that brand message to each one of those goals. So a lot like Erin kind of described in the previous presentation, you have this brand, you have the mission and vision, you have these goals. How do you pull that brand through each one of these goals? And so we went through and did developed sub-messages for each one of these goals. And that was really the basis of all the tactics then that we created. And this is just a snapshot of the executive summary. And here's the full plan. I'm not sure if you've thumbed through it. It's kind of, it's got everything in it, so it's quite a large document. But the executive summary is a nice way to just package up what are the key audiences. We talk about collaboration again, just as Kathy and Erin said, collaboration is huge in meeting these goals because the goals are integrated with the school. The goals are integrated with Experience Burnsville, the CVB. And so collaboration was a huge part of this plan too. And then consistently measuring what each tactic is.
And the first bullet, the plan should evolve. We experienced that over 2020.
That's a key point.
It's okay to pass that around if you want to share that with them.
Chair, it was also included as an attachment to the background, but it's a pretty large file, so it may have been problematic to download the full copy.
Okay.
Yeah, and because it's such a large document, we threw this slide in there too, just to see how it was organized. The sections, again, were based on the strategic plan goals. There was action items in the strategic plan, and we took those action items, and like I said, we just worked through the tactics on those. We did find some areas or gaps that we felt were gaps in terms of marketing, and so we also included those, and they're kind of in separate tables. So you can see what is directly from the strategic plan and what are those kind of gap items that we added. And then we prioritize them. You know, are they a priority? Are they short-term, long-term? And then added the measurements at the end of each section, had a timeline and a budget. And this is just an example of what we did it, how we did it, the tactic, the target audience, and then the action items from each one of those. Kind of went through this. And now this is the timeline that was included for 2020. Of course, this timeline changed quite a bit. It was focused on a lot of events, conferences. We had plans to do things like geofencing, so digital targeting, different things like that. And of course, because conferences were canceled and you didn't have a bunch of people in one spot, it didn't, you know, to do geofencing is not going to be great in that, effective in that situation. But this is just an example of an easy to use timeline with the tactics and focused on paid media, earned media, owned media, and shared media. And paid media is advertising, earned media is, you know, articles, that type of thing. Owned media are the social media, website, your newsletters, that type of thing. And we did add shared media in this because there was going to be so much collaboration. We wanted to make sure that we identified that as well. So if we had social media for a particular event, say like Tour de Flavor, we could send that media over to Experience Burnsville and they would put it on their owned media as well. So that's what we're calling shared media.
Are some of these items in this timeline just moved to 2021, or is it just revamped entirely, or what does that look like as far as the timeline is concerned?
We are getting there. But yeah, it was revamped.
And you'll see we got creative with some of them, like some of the month, we tried to spread it out across that year with monthly partnerships for different events that could be celebrated virtually, ways that we could make it work. So there were some things that still happened but could happen again in 2021.
Right.
So 2020, we really focused on the brand awareness and what we could do. The first half, launched it, right? And then did what we could with brand awareness, virtually, and then a lot of 2020 shifted all that work to what can we do for businesses with COVID relief and getting them kind of through this crazy time. And then 2021, we're starting to really push that momentum as things are changing. Obviously, who knows where we're gonna go next month, but
Yes. Or tomorrow?
Right, I was just, as I was looking through, there was plenty of opportunities that looked like our relatively annual events to broadcast the plan, either it be a community event here held in Burnsville, a regional event, or maybe some more of a nationwide type events that people could attend. So I'm guessing we'll still have those on the budget? Okay.
and what we do with them each year probably would change depending on what the target is or the tactic is, but I'd say that timeline will look similar with additions each year.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And it'll really depend too, as the team works on an updated strategic plan. What comes out of that updated strategic plan, we'll incorporate that into the timeline and the tactics as well too. So this is just a quick overview of 2020, and we kind of touched on this by quarter. You know, quarter one was that launching the brand, rolling it out, working with the city on different events. Quarter two is when COVID really hit hard, and we shifted gears and looked at, okay, how do we get people still engaged and going to businesses? How do we celebrate Small Business Week in different, unique ways? And so those are some of the examples we did. Quarter three and quarter four, those are really those same strategies. How do we drive people to businesses in a safe way? So that was the Tour de Flavor, you know, Burnsville Cares Grant Program was a big push in quarter three. And then October, November, it was celebrating Manufacturers Week and Small Business Week, because those are things you can celebrate virtually. Those are things you can celebrate online.
Using videos.
Using
tech
videos
storytelling.
and different tactics, so. And then this is just kind of an example of some of the collateral that was developed over 2020.
And to your point too, as the timeline evolves each year, we'll look at it a little bit different. There's still some of those same events on there, but shifting the focus depending on what the right strategy year to year really is evolving, that IMC evolving with what's needed. So right now, we're working with the Metro Orange Line, putting focus on that it's a great opportunity in the city they're out at the fire muster right now, sharing all the opportunities. We created a flyer that is, what is it bringing to Burnsville? What type of benefits or opportunities are for residents in Burnsville, and what opportunities for people who want to visit Burnsville? Is that connection to so many different parts of the city is a big deal, I think, for the future of Burnsville. And then celebrating some of the development success. When we first started with the IMCP, there was we had a focus on residential homes, and as we've seen the market change, I think the new developments there's a ton of new units in Burnsville right now that will be a big bright spot for Burnsville. So how do we broadcast that? How do we show that we can get a workforce here and easy access for businesses? And this month, next month,
Well, yeah.
manufacturers, it used to be Manufacturers Week, now it's a month. So with all the manufacturing opportunities and connections with pathways, new manufacturing grants, how can we showcase that that's really a big opportunity for Burnsville and for future developments and current manufacturing facilities? And
it's a great collaboration piece, again, because it's collaborating with the school and the chambers, and the city. So, you know, there's videos being done, some social media campaigns, tours, that type of thing.
And then that last real focus point is evolving with that center village and heart of the city, and as that starts to move, what can we do to really showcase it? starts to get some wings.
And then looking a little bit ahead too, the city just completed a resident and business survey, and so there's some information to glean out of that. And I think one of the things that we saw was there's maybe not a good understanding of all the grant and loan opportunities for businesses, and so how can we reach out to businesses? How can we let them know what's available to them? And so we've already been working with Regina to really gather, centralize everything that's available and create it in a way where it's easy to find. And that's something that we're developing right now. I think there'll be a lot of handouts, a lot of web content, and we have to figure out a way to make it just really user-friendly. I think that's the challenge we have right now. Because honestly, there's a lot of programs, but how do you figure out which one is right for you?
Right.
So that's a challenge that we have right now. And then really coming to the end of 2021, we want to start looking back at that measurement of the goals. We really didn't do that measurement at the end of 2020 just because it was a little bit of a wacky year. And so you're not measuring apples to apples. It was apples to cars. I mean, it was so
Very unusual, yes.
it was unusual. So we'll look at measurements, and then of course, as the strategic plan is updated, we'll look at reimagining those changes and what does that mean going forward. And that is
All
all of our
right.
presentation.
Well, this item was for discussion and information, and that was a great presentation. Thank you. Does anyone on the commission have any questions? I think we started it already with.
Sorry, I started in the middle of it, but no, thank you very much. It's great. It's good to see the marketing and communications plan evolving. And as you note, there's a ton of good things, especially on the development side, going on in Burnsville to bring a lot of new residents, geared towards a lot of younger residents as well. And so it's going to be fun to see how that takes shape. So thank you very much for spearheading the communication plan on that.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Well, I think you mentioned the orange line, and the questions I get from people are, what's the difference between the orange line and the MVTA? And I, try to explain it. I don't have, all the answers, but they are quite different. And as you work on that, I think it's important that the communication, that people understand that they're two really different things.
Yeah, I think that would make for some good content.
Different but complementary.
Yeah.
Yes.
The other thing that I had, as you were talking about this, I've seen ads online for the fire muster in places I've never seen ads before. I don't know if you guys did that, but you might want to check out how they got them, where they put them, because they're in very many different places online.
Thank you. Commissioner Anderson, does anyone else have a question or anything to add? All right. Well, that was a great presentation, and it leads us right into our last agenda item, which is about the strategic plan. And I think we have Beth Weber here to provide us with that presentation. Thank you so much, Nicole and Andrea, for that presentation.
All right, good evening, Commissioners. We've gone over a lot of great items tonight, and we'll just give you a couple updates on our goals this evening. So as you'll see, ensuring sustainability of the Burnsville Shopping Center on County Road 42. We do have a new application in. It's for 2 drive-through restaurants at the former Roasted Pear site. The Roasted Pear will be demolished, and a 2,550 square foot quick service restaurant and a 2,380 square foot coffee venue will be located on that site. So that's currently under review by staff and will be presented to Planning Commission and City Council for final approval. And then additionally, we have what are called a TED and Teddy grant applications in. There's kind of a small graphic on what a new ramp off of I-35W could look like. So MnDOT has a Transportation Economic Development Grant for up to $5 million. And then DEED has a Transportation Economic Development Infrastructure Grant up to $2.9 million. So this would provide direct access into the Seritage site on the mall property. So we're hopeful that we can receive that funding.
Looks like it would also help the traffic flow on 42, people being able to come underneath and go on to 42 with the right turns rather than.
Yeah, so this is just a proposed graphic. It's certainly not the final design, but it does potentially correspond with the County Road 42 traffic study that the county is currently finishing up. So improving the image of the school district and the city, we do have a Realtor event scheduled. So it's going to be our first one. It's September 20th. It's going to be at Neal Park, and we're going to highlight all of the development that we have going on in the city. Parks and Rec are going to give a presentation on the different programming that they have available. And then we'll discuss the Grow Burnsville initiative with the different gardens that we have around, the availability of renting plots. If you don't have a garden in your yard, you can rent a plot. And just some different information and networking opportunity for realtors to highlight what a great place that Burnsville is, and that we just really want to showcase it as a good place to be. And then also at that event, we'll be handing out the Hidden Gems boxes that you all received at the last meeting, so that realtors can give them out to their clients or new buyers, just to, again, highlight the hidden gems of Burnsville and different places that new people could go. And then we also had a great presentation from the school district tonight. Hopefully everyone found value in that. It was a lot of new information, and I think that it was definitely a positive addition to our agenda. Continuing development within Heart of the City. So we're currently redoing the design framework. The update is underway. Projected completion is spring of 2022. Damon Farber is the lead on that, so it will be reviewed and updated. Some of the items would be landscaping, transportation, art, engagement, and more. So we're hopeful that this design framework update will better reflect the values and of the community, and then support our 2040 comprehensive plan.
Beth, if I just made note, they're currently doing some public engagement tonight at the Fire Muster Block Party. So if this ends before, I believe, 8, you'll have a chance to stop by and give some feedback.
Awesome. Thanks for that update.
Little plug for the Fire Muster.
For the next 28 minutes.
All right, so enhancing and building awareness around the city's existing housing and commercial programs. We do have a partnership with the Burnsville Chamber for Grow Minnesota visits. We've completed 8 so far this year. We've had 6 ribbon cuttings in partnership with both the Burnsville Chamber and the Dakota County Regional Chamber. Our partnership with Open to Business continues, and they will be hosting the 2021 Resilient Communities Virtual Forum coming up in October. And the goal of that forum is to advance equitable recovery and to promote prosperity in low-income communities. So there is information about that in our Opportunity Belongs Here newsletter and on Open to Business's website. And our Center for Energy and Environment Partnership is booming. Since the last update or meeting, we're up to over 60 visits and 4 rebates. So we've more than doubled the participation by residents within Burnsville. So
Nice.
it provides evaluations of their homes, and then they can get a lot of free services and then rebates as well. So that is a partnership that we have with them. The city is covering half of the evaluation cost, and then the resident would have to pay for the other half. And we are continuing the city's position as a regional destination. So this year we were able to participate in Night to Unite. We attended over 100 parties. We gave out different city information, some You Belong Here branded items, and then the fire department and the police department also had items that they gave out as well. So it was definitely a fun event to participate in. We had some new vehicles that went out this year. We had, in addition to fire trucks, we had a dump truck and some front-end loaders as well. So those were very popular, and those neighborhoods that got those vehicles were thankful, I'm sure. And then, as Regina mentioned, fire muster is going on. There's a block party going on for another 25 minutes. It goes through Saturday. There will be live entertainment, food trucks, parade, a car show, and then different family events, and it's free to attend. And then just a couple updates. At our last meeting, the commissioners indicated interest in different or better reporting of our economic development strategic plan goals. So we are working on what will become a year-end update with more meaningful metrics for the commissioners to react to and provide feedback on, and we'll continue to provide these updates as well, just on our normal meeting schedule. So
Awesome,
we
thank
are
you.
working on pulling together additional data for you to review in a quantifiable way. The city code and zoning code update has started. The business and industrial sections are being reviewed very soon, so we will circulate those as applicable for comments. Please continue to check out our development map. Cranes have been mentioned. We have a lot going on, and that's a great way to market the city and to show all of the great things that we have going on. And then the final update that I have is our next meeting is November 10th. So if anyone has any questions, happy to answer those.
Commissioners, any questions? Anything from the public?
That building over by Cub is gonna be fairly formidable
Yes.
coming into Burnsville.
Yep.
Look at that, I mean, right there, there's three very large buildings that have been built very recently. And then the Realtor Forum at Neal Park is going to be right next to, there's the new Quick Trip development there, as well as the multifamily building that's going in right now too, so.
Which will be named the Flats at Neal Park.
Correct, so good job on the location for
Thank
that,
you.
that party as well.
So any updates on the heart of the city, Cross Anderson property?
Regina, maybe you can speak to that.
So the triangular piece where we have, I believe it's just approximately 300 units, a senior building, and then an all-age building. They did receive approval from the city council, and we do expect them to come in for a permit. As far as exact timeline, I don't know if that will be a fall or a 2022 project.
I see that other senior building down by the Speedway is progressing along too.
The flats at Neal Park is all-age building.
No, the Speedway over here on 134th and County Road 11.
Oh, that's the Sweet Living memory
yes.
care facility. So
Yeah.
that's approximately 35 units of different levels of care.
Yeah.
I got Quick Trip and Speedway mixed up. I hope no one from Quick Trip's watching.
Any more questions for Beth?
Actually, the heart of the city plan that you said for the architecture
The
group
design
thing.
framework?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
thank you. Is there pictures or anything like that online that we could go on and look at or see what they're planning on doing?
So there is a link in your packet or you can search it on our website as
Okay.
well for kind of what we have currently
Yeah.
and then different areas to provide feedback as well.
Okay.
And then different opportunities for public engagement as well.
Yeah, the quick link is burnsvillemn.gov/HOC.
Okay. Fantastic. Yeah, I love the updates that were done to the Nicollet Commons Park, all the water features and lights, so my kids enjoy it.
Anyone else? All right, 20 minutes, and you get to do the fire monster if you so choose. So at this time, I would like to call or request adjournment of our September 8th, 2021 meeting.
So moved?
Second? All right, and meeting is adjourned.